we were able to generate $127,000 pre-product, and then use that as funding to actually develop the product. So there are ways to go about launching, getting started if you're in that startup phase, without that external pressure on you, and actually focusing on delivering the value, delivering the best product you can deliver, and ensuring you have a healthy, let's say, customer lifetime value for your business. So off the bat, it's important to look at the brand, the value you bring, all of these things, rather than just acquisition.
And I love that story with how you helped your friend and got the buy-in from customers before you even built the product. It makes so much more sense than what most companies do, which is they have an idea and then they start building a product based on the idea before they even realize that there's a need. Your business's success depends on relationships with customers, relationships with employees, and relationships with stakeholders. What do they all have in common? They're all human. Because no matter if your business is B2B or B2C, it's really H to H, human to human. Welcome to the Human Connection Podcast. I'm your host, Karl Ponto. Each week, I'll bring you stories, insights, and practical advice from experts that you can apply to your growing company and daily life. This week, I'm excited to connect with Neil Ateem. Neil is the founder of Multiplier, a marketing strategy agency that has helped mission-driven brands scale revenue, launch powerful growth campaigns, and generate over $300 million and more in revenue worldwide. With over 16 years of marketing experience, Neil specializes in subscription models, product launches, and strategic revenue acceleration for digital businesses across wellness, education, and high-ticket offers. His work is rooted in value-first tech strategy and proven systems that drive predictable, sustainable growth. Congrats on helping mission-driven brands scale revenue, and welcome to the Human Connection Podcast.
Thanks, Karl. Happy to be here. That was quite an intro. Happy to be here and add value to your audience, and looking forward to this convo today.
Thanks. Yeah, I think it's really interesting to have you on because you are a great example of a founder who took something they were passionate about and made a business out of it, and is successful at it. And I think it's really important to examine your journey in that way, because there's so many people that when they're trying to start a business or they're even like running a business, when they don't have that passion, that connection for the work, you can see it in the way they show up, and it permeates throughout the culture. So how do you help, and how do you embody the idea of turning passion into opportunities?
So for me, I guess it kind of ties to my personal story of how I ended up here, right? Just to not bore anyone, basically, my background was computer science. That's what I studied. That's what I started off my career in. And then right after that, I transitioned into marketing, right? Which I do have a marketing agency now. However, one of my core hobbies and passion has been my own personal growth, development, my health, education, all of these things. And by me just tuning into that and pairing it with my natural curiosity for marketing, I happened to form a career around this. And then leveraging, what I was already doing and interested in, I just saw the opportunity there for businesses in this niche that would use my my expertise, my services, etc. And then I created a service out of that, right? Which is helping the company scale, launch their products, etc. Because that's what I have a lot of experience in. Now, I know what you said. What you said there in the intro is very important, right? Everything is human to human, not B2B, not B2C, and that is 100% what worked for me. That's why I resonate so much with what you speak about and your guests speak about on the podcast. Because for me, like till this day, it's already been a couple of years I've been running this specific business, and it's all been human to human. Every client that I work with has been someone that I know, was friends with, or recommended by someone else that I helped along the way. So that's how I embody it right now. It's like already something I was doing, interested in, and I just paired it with another skill that I had, and it just turned into this, a proper running business that has been in operation for a couple of years already.
Yeah, and I think it's that referral pipeline that you've built for yourself is a big part of what can help get new businesses off the ground in a way that I think of for a lot of startups that they're thinking about trying to raise money or do funding, all these things that dilute the business and or dilute the ownership of the business and make it like more external pressures for the business to be run a certain way and have different pressures put on the leadership and the team. Whereas, the self-funded, the grassroots approach to building a business where you're able to, because you have such great connections, find clients and scale in a way that is more community-based, I think not only helps you enjoy the work more and be more successful in the long run because you're not trying to force it as hard. It's coming more naturally, and it's in a way that you're scaling in a more sensible way rather than something that's of these external expectations from a VC firm.
Yeah, I mean, I've dealt with both, right? And I can give you like from experience how it works a little bit more. Now, when you take any external funding, investors usually want to get the fastest return on the investment possible, right? With VCs, with, it could be friends and family round, like whatever it is, they expect, fast cash back. And that puts a lot of immense pressure actually on the founder, on the team, everyone, and that can sometimes be not the best thing because you're forcing, to an extent, and trying to push things when maybe it takes a little bit more, okay, I need to chat with the potential customers or existing customers and see what I need to refine, make sure you have a good product that would actually retain customers. If it's a subscription product, for example, rather than just trying to, okay, I need to grow aggressively and go acquiring customers, but then they're churning after 3 months and that's it, you lose a customer, so you may be getting the acquisition right now to satisfy your investors and help them get their ROI quickly, but then at the same time, is it a long-term business? Are you building a brand or hurting your reputation by not focusing so much on the value and the actual product? So there's that side of it, right? And then there's the bootstrap side of it as well, which I have done with other businesses, starting from, I gave this example, I had a conversation like a couple of days ago on this one, starting with like a Google form, for example. So I had this colleague of mine, a friend now, who came to me and they wanted to launch a specific product, right? This was in the medical niche. Now, education in the medical niche. And his idea was, okay, how do I even get started? How much money do I need to invest? And I told him like 0. Let's take a Google form. Let's take your existing audience and let's test and see how many people actually would be interested in this product, right? And we did so. We got over 100 people who were interested. It's high ticket. And then from there, obviously not everyone is going to actually convert and commit. And then from there, just that Google form, just with an idea, just of explaining what is the value is actually going to be delivered, we were able to generate $127,000 pre-product and then use that as funding to actually develop the product. So there are ways to go about launching, getting started if you're in that startup phase, without that external pressure on you, and actually focusing on delivering the value, delivering the best product you can deliver, and ensuring you have a healthy, let's say, customer lifetime value for your business. So off the bat, it's important to look at the brand, the value you bring, all of these things, rather than just acquisition.
And I love that story with how you helped your friend and got the buy-in from customers before you even built the product. It makes so much more sense than what most companies do, which is they have an idea and then they start building a product based on the idea before they even realize that there's a need and people actually would buy this thing. And like they just kind of barrel ahead and invest a ton of money into something and time and expertise without really understanding if there's, or talking to the potential buyers or users of the product or service first. And so there's so much that doesn't work because when they're doing the product design phase, they haven't even consulted with or talked to the people who end up using it or buying it, and it ends up either they bring it to market and then announce it and launch it to crickets, or it's never quite gets out of the product development phase because they don't really have enough guidance on what's going to work to really even get them to launch. Whereas if you go the way that you and your friend did, which was see if people actually want this thing and make sure you're building it to their preferences first, then you're much more likely to get those. Well, first you already get the sales before the thing releases, but then also you already have that revenue that is from pre-sales instead of getting outside money that you're now beholden to. So it just seems like a much more sensible way to launch a product these days, especially with how hard it can be and how much time and effort it takes to even get started in the fundraising side of things. If you're able to get that pre-sale revenue and use that to develop the product, that just makes way more sense.
Yeah, 100%. And the thing is, okay, now your customer is, they say the customer is always right. They're not always right, right? And the thing is, the old analogy as well, like give them what they, it's about they have a want, but you give them what they need. So I can't remember the exact quote, but yeah, you sell them what they want, but you give them what they need. That's it. Now, the thing is, you can do all the market research, look at every forum, look at the data, the numbers, all of these things, right? But again, it comes down to human beings having to use a product or service or whatever you may have to offer, SaaS, subscription, etc. So you need to be smart about blending that as well, because they're going to tell you, oh, we want this and this and this and this, and they may not need all of that. And they may need something else, and you may have an idea of what that needs to be, right? So it's not the absolute from the data, the numbers, the statistics out there, and it's not the absolute from what they say they want. So you need to take those two and merge it together, and you deliver the final product, taking in the input from both the logic and the experiential side of things, and being the expert to piece it together, to deliver that thing that would actually bring the transformation, bring the value, grow your business, and of course get the customers.
Yeah, I as I was speaking earlier, I realized there was that caveat of it. Yeah, people often don't really know what they want, and actually the origin of that customer is always right adage is actually the customer is always right, comma, in matters of taste. So that's been bastardized in a way, so and misconstrued, where it's customers are not always right. They're always right about what they their style choices are, like what they want to get, but they don't know, they're not right all the time. And I think there's that problem, like also a similar adage of if you ask people what they wanted before the automobile was introduced, they would have said like a faster horse. Wouldn't like so. But I think the idea is you have to know your clients or your customers well enough and listen to them well enough to understand where they're coming from and what transformation they're seeking, and developing a product that delivers that transformation. Maybe not exactly in the way they're envisioning it, but if it gets them the results they want and the impact they're looking for, then the exact way you went about it doesn't have to be exactly what they said they wanted. But and you gotta have that balance between listening to them and applying your own expertise and finding that healthy medium, and instead of one of the extreme or the other, because otherwise, you're going to make something that no one cares about, or you're going to build this mess of things because people don't really know what they want. And so you got to find that sweet spot, which is again one of the reasons why launching a new product, starting a new business is so difficult, because there is no easy way to kind of shortcut or skip this step and have it actually get a result you'll be happy with.
Yeah, exactly. So everyone is trying to find product market fit, right? But there is no one-stop solution. Like unless you have something that is already going, you have an ongoing business, you have existing customers, and you want to introduce a new product or service, it's much easier there. But if you're brand new starting up, then yeah, not the easiest thing, right? So it's all about combining those two that we talked about, and then of course putting the magic into it as well, your own magic, and making the call on it. And of course, when you launch something, you always launch with the intention that this is the first iteration. And when you get that initial feedback, whether you have beta testers, etc., there's another strategy that is used, launching the beta program at a cheaper cost. Depends on the product, right? Like if it's a service, a training, online education, coaching, high ticket, like you can do these things. So you maybe sell it at 50% of what it's going to be. You get 10, 20 people in there, and then from there you actually test it out, and then you get the iteration, you get the feedback. Like, okay, this didn't work at all, so I need to swap this out. I need to plug this in. This worked really well. We need to expand on this thing, So yeah, that is, let's say that is step one. Step 0 is what we spoke about. Step 1 is this, having that beta version where you then iterate on. Because even with everything put in, all the input from both sides, you putting it together, still not the final thing, right?
Yeah. And I think one of the things we kind of started talking about at the beginning was that the whole idea of turning a passion into opportunities. I think that underlies the whole thing, because one, when you're starting those initial conversations with potential users or beta testers, they'll pick up on that, your passion for what you're trying to do with your business and this product. And that helps build that initial trust and adoption and buy-in from people before you maybe even have the product, like what happened with your friend there. And then as you're going through this process, which is really rigorous and involves a lot of disappointing feedback and frustration as you're trying to figure out what this, even like you said, the first iteration of this product looks like, and you're going to be failing a lot or having to change things a lot, that can be very draining and frustrating. But if you have that passion for what you're doing and believe in the impact you're trying to have with this product and this business, then it serves as a buffer and some armor to all the blows you're going to take as a founder, as a product developer trying to bring this thing to market. Because if you don't care that much about it, then you're never going to make it through this initial process, because it can be such a gauntlet of disappointment and frustration and feedback and harsh truths and reality checks that can knock anyone down. But the ones that have that initial passion and drive are the ones who are going to be able to keep picking themselves back up over and over, because there's a lot less grueling ways to make a living than trying to start a business from scratch and launch a product from scratch like that.
Yeah, I mean, entrepreneurship is not the easiest thing for sure, right? Like it's one of the most challenging thing. There's a lot of quotes about this, about entrepreneurship. Like it's like eating glass and walking on coals and all this kind of stuff. Like, and it's true, right? It's not the easiest thing, and a lot of people expect that they can get it off the bat. It will happen immediately. Oh, I launched the perfect thing, and then it's going to scale, and then numbers just go up. It just doesn't work like that. Even with years in business, things go down, things fluctuate, and it's so dynamic compared to everything. You need a really tough stomach to deal with entrepreneurship, because like for someone like me, I spent 8 years in the corporate world before, right? And then I didn't realize how easy it was until I started entrepreneurship, because every month I know I'm having X amount of money hit my bank account, and then that's good. I can take a couple weeks vacation. I can take the sick days, all of this. And now as an entrepreneurship, that doesn't really exist. It could if I wanted to, but that's just how entrepreneurship goes, right? So some months it's just you make you break even. You still need to pay your staff whether numbers are up or down, like things like that. And of course, these are things that would keep you up at night. Whether you're sick or in good health, like things need to operate and run, and then there's decisions and things that only you can do. Of course, you can try to outsource and you have employees and stuff, but as an entrepreneur, certain responsibilities fall on you, especially the responsibilities for your employees as well. So yeah, on the journey, it is not an easy one, but it can be rewarding, and it is easier as we go back to the initial point, which is if you pursue something that you're actually passionate about, like it is your hobby as well. Who you work with, things like these. It just makes it a little easier to swallow, let's say.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for connecting with me today, Neil. If you enjoyed this episode of the Human Connection Podcast, please like, leave a comment, and subscribe. Check out the links in the show notes if you want to connect with myself or Neil. And remember, no matter if your business is B2B or B2C, it's really H to H, human to human. Happy connecting.